Howdy, welcome to Music Hangout. This is Manjaja with Way Too Indie. It is Monday, May 26th. We're talking with James of the Caldwell band. They'll be playing Free Press Summerfest this Saturday this Saturday actually. And we're going to talk to him a little bit about the band, and we're going to talk to him about what it's like to play Free Press, or what it's going to be like to play Free Press. Before I get started, I would like to say it is Memorial Day, so we wanted to give a shout out or a thing to. I hope that you guys have taken a second or a few minutes out of your day to thank all the brave women and women that have sacrificed their lives in our defense of our nation. If it's not today, it should be every day. Technically, I hope that you do it every day and you say thanks to everyone in your life. But for today, I'm also going to be saying thanks to James for joining me today. It's Monday for first thing. It's Memorial Day, so probably taking a break, but it's also a little raining outside. At least it is here for me in my part of town. But James, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining me and taking the time out. Let's go ahead and get started. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit your name, the name of the band, and then a little bit about yourself. Because you're native Houstonian, correct?
Yes, I'm a native Houstonian. Born and raised. Yeah, so my name's James. Singer and guitar player in the band. The band is obviously the Caldwell. We have Caleb Quillen on bass. We have Pastor Oropeza on drums. We have John Cook on guitar and Alex Fisher on keys. They're not here with me today, but I'll be stepping in for all of them.
Awesome. So I wanted to talk to you about a little bit about how the band actually formed, because I thought this was interesting. Your album Modern Love came out last September, I believe, of last year. And what was interesting about it, that's a little bit atypical from most bands, is that you actually wrote this album before the band formed together. Can you tell us a little bit about that process and why you chose to go that route, or was it just something that was you were writing the album and you just didn't? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so basically this was 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, I started writing. I finished my degree. I got a degree in music composition. Finished my degree and then decided that I needed to start doing something again. I had a band before I went to college, and that fell apart, and then I did college. And then, so I was like, all right, I need to write a record. I need to make something. I had actually never written songs before. It was all instrumental music that I had before. So I decided, like, all right, 3 months. I'm going to give myself 3 months, and I'm going to write this. And instead of, waiting around to find people that I wanted to make music with, I thought, I'll just make it. And after making it, I'll find the people that connect to it and that want to play it and that enjoy it. So that's what I basically did. I recorded it all here at my home studio, which is where I am right now, and then took it to Sugar Hill Recording Studios, which is a legendary studio here in Houston. My good friend John Griffin recorded the album, and then after that, it was easy. I had this product, and I could show it to musicians and see if they grabbed onto it, if they enjoyed it, and it was a long process of finding the right people, but I feel like what I have right now is pretty solid and pretty great, and everyone feels a real kinship and ownership to the music, even though, some of it was, or almost all of it was written before they were, part of it. So I feel happy about it, and especially because it kind of like, for the next record, I'm really excited about, hearing what everyone is going to bring to the table. Yeah, so.
Awesome. So, a little bit about your musical background. You went to college for music, but how did you get started in music? Was that something you did as a child growing up, or was it something that you found interest you, or how did you get involved with your music or your musical careers?
I basically started playing the guitar at around 16. And I graduated high school a year early, and with kind of just the mindset, I want to get out of this place. And then when I finally got out, I was just like, oh, what am I going to do? And so it was either was going to get a degree in history or I was going to get a degree in music. But the thing is that I didn't read sheet music. I taught myself how to play the instrument. I never had lessons. So I tried out at a local music school, a community college, and they accepted me. They thought like some of the compositions that I had written, or that I had made, I guess, I hadn't written them out or anything, were good. And so they accepted me, and I was just, basically all 4 years of college was just playing catch-up because I was around people who had been playing and reading since they were, 5 years old, so it was a struggle. But that's basically my general background to music. I mean, I played in a lot of bands before I went to college, and even did a tour with an instrumental band that I had that was called just B, was the letter, it was the name of the band. But yeah, so I really have I don't have a classical background really, other than what I had to learn in school. But.
Gotcha. And do you find that I know from personal experience from artists that I know that when they don't have that classical, like you said, or professional experience growing up, that it's somewhat easier for them to actually write music and get in tune with their music. Do you find that that's true for you, or how do you think that compares?
I mean, I was talking to a friend about this the other day. I feel like there's a famous composer who talks about this. His name is Steve Reich. The ear that non-trained people have, and the ear that they develop, is more pays way more attention, has way more sensitivity to if music is honest or if it's cheesy, or these kind of things, rather than if it's technically good, or the melody is great and the harmonies follow all these proper things, where I think classical musicians, you learn all of that and you have an ear for that. You have an ear for if it's in tune or if it's well balanced or all these kind of things, but you don't have an ear for is this true to the composer? Is this his expression, or and I don't really have an ear for something that's cheesy. I feel like all I was dealing with was a lot of cheesy music when I was going to the school, and my professors were constantly wanting to cheesify my pieces. So yeah, so in that avenue, I feel like it has really helped, starting before going and getting that. But then I feel like just as much as that has given me a nice root in self-expression and these kind of things, the technique is really vital and really important, and I'm very grateful for having it. I wouldn't have been able to write the horn arrangements that are on our record if it weren't for going and be able to talk to those players, and be like, look, this is kind of what I want, and and be able to communicate with them. I think that's the best thing of it, is that I can communicate with all musicians, where I know people that play music, guitarists and stuff like that really can't. They can't have a conversation with a drummer about the drums. Can't have a conversation with a horn player about his horn. And that sucks.
Gotcha. That's interesting. I think that goes along with a lot of what I've heard as well, so that's interesting that you said that. Let's talk about Modern Love, the album that you composed or wrote, and actually both. What was the process of actually writing that album? That was something that you gave yourself 3 months to write, like you said, but what were you going through in the thought process behind writing that and composing that?
I was dealing with a lot of isolation at the time. And I don't know. The process in writing was literally I'm just gonna force myself to do this, because if I don't, I'm gonna keep writing songs and never make a record. So I'm gonna cap it at a certain time. And I wrote 13 songs, and the record has 10 with this instrumental interlude thing that I put in there. So, and really, I was kind of wanting to, I guess, the thought process, or I did make some decisions, which was that, because I didn't want to get really bogged down in, doing a lot of extra instrumentation, or really messing around with forms or these kind of things. Like, I wanted to write an album that had nothing but songs that were kind of the same form as like early Elvis or Buddy Holly stuff. You know, you have a verse, you have a chorus, you have a verse, you have a chorus, and you're done. Maybe you might put an intro in there, you know, but that's about it. And throughout the whole record, I pretty much stuck really true to that, like trying to make interesting songs and arrangements with really the most simplistic form, and even I didn't do too much in harmony either. I stayed pretty simple with it. And another thing that I was thinking about when I first started writing it was just I wanted the lyrics to be really direct and really honest. I didn't want to be behind metaphors or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just, I wanted to be saying something, and I wanted people to get what I'm saying immediately. I don't want them to go searching for it. I just really love lyrics that sound like common speech, but the minute that someone starts singing it, it just means way more. And you're like, man, I wish I wrote that. I wish, like, for instance, I saw Morrissey last night in Beaumont, and he writes, as much as he writes in metaphor, he also writes in a lot of just like this regular sentence, that makes you feel like, I'm trying to remember the song right now. He didn't play it last night, but it's leaving me. Like, please, please, please let me get what I want this time. Like, that's just, anyone just says that, but the minute he sings it, all of a sudden, it just rips your heartstrings. So yeah, that's what I like, and that's what I tried to hopefully accomplish in this record.
And I definitely think that you have, because I've listened to it quite a few times throughout the year, and this is actually, just a side note, this is really interesting because I've been doing this for about 6 months now, but I've never talked to actual Houstonian artists, which is really weird since I'm based in Houston. So it's like, okay, something's wrong here. So this is why we're, not only why we're doing this, but because the album's great, and I've listened to it quite a few times. I haven't been able to see you guys live yet because it's school and such, but I definitely think that it does that because it has that sense of purpose, but it also is speaking quite literally to you. So I think that does a great job at doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. For those of you guys that are watching, if you want to ask James any questions, you can leave a question. Somewhere on your screen, I know we have some viewers, so if you want to leave a question, just leave it or ask it on the event page, and I'll ask them for you. But we're going to keep going. In writing the album, what were some of the difficulties that you faced? Because this was something that you were trying to, get out and put out, or not actually just put out, but like finish doing because you wanted to. But what were some of the difficulties that you faced while writing it, or while, in that mindset that I've got to finish this, or was there anything like that?
The main difficulties I faced were, I don't think too many people are honest about this, but just the self-doubt that comes into writing something. Am I doing this because it's a real choice to do it this way, or am I doing this because of an inability to do other things? So that was there, and also I think the main thing was being a singer, because before this record I wasn't a singer. So I put a lot of work, and I'm still putting a lot of work in becoming a better singer. So yeah, I think that was the biggest struggle, was which actually, when we went in to record the album, everything was tracked very quickly. I mean, we tracked all the drums in one day. We did almost everything like first take, because like I said, I already did it here at my house. And vocals didn't take that long. I knocked them out pretty quickly because I worked on them really hard, but I still feel like even today, after singing the songs live and stuff like that a lot, that I'm a much better singer, but I even still have a ways to go. I think that was the biggest thing, the biggest struggle for me. But.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay, so speaking of live, the reason why we're doing this all is FreePressSummerFest, which is coming up this weekend. What is it your feeling about Free Press, because it's a Houston thing, and you're from Houston, and you're a Houston band. So what was it like for you when you first found out that you're going to be at Free Press Summerfest, and how do you feel about being with the city? Because it's a huge thing about Houston, because we don't really have a lot of, at least I think, we don't really do a lot of festivals or music festivals, but we have a great local music scene that sometimes most people don't know about it, but Free Press brings out the Houston scene, and also brings out the major, all the big bands and stuff like that. But what was the question? I got sidetracked there, of course. But the question was, like, how do you feel about Free Press, and how excited are you for playing Free Press, and what was it like finding out about that you were going to play at Free Press?
Well, when they asked us, I mean, I was honored, very happy to do it. And as news came out about like the stage that we're playing and the time that we're playing, I got even more excited, because we've only been a band for a year, and the record hasn't even been out that long, and we're playing main stage. We're playing the same stage that Vampire Weekend's playing, and Jack White's playing, and so I'm super excited about it. I mean, stage is going to be huge. We're actually a little bit worried just because we're not sure how that stage is how things are going to sound, and how weird it's going to be us being so spread apart and these kind of things. But I think Free Press is great. This is actually going to be the first time that I've gone to one, due to being out of town for certain things, or just also, like I said, going to music school and then coming out. It has made me a little bit less of a showgoer. I've been trying to go out a lot more, but and it's normally extremely hot. Everyone says Free Press is super hot, but I totally understand why they chose the time. Obviously you don't want to compete with South by, you don't want to compete with Austin City Limits, yada yada yada. And I think it's great, the location, Eleanor Tilsney. I think that's amazing to kind of put it in nature and stuff like that. So I'm all about it. I'm happy to be doing it. I think a lot of those guys are great. We've been treated very well and very professionally, and I'm very excited about that. I didn't know how it was, how well it's going to be put together. And I have a lot of friends that are doing other things engaged in it, like certain barbers and hairstylists and then massage, like all these people that I know that are, that they, like for instance, it's obvious of the people that Free Press brings in to help, in the bands and stuff like that. But it's way more connected into than just the music scene. Like I said, like they're gonna have the guy from Uchi's gonna be there. Like they bring in all these cooks and all, and support all of these different things and bring all of these different people to the forefront. And so, yeah, I think it's great. I'm excited about it.
Awesome. So, like, you guys are also sharing, you're sharing a stage with Vampire Weekend, but you're also sharing one with the Tauntauns, who just want to mention we'll be interviewing them later on this week.
Right.
But, so, I know you said you're excited for a live show at Free Press, but it's such a huge stage. What can we expect from you, from the band during this? Is this something that you want to keep secret, or is there something you can share with us about what we can expect to hear?
I mean, we were thinking about preparing something special. There is something. It's not much, but mainly because, like, we didn't find out until later what our slot's going to be and how long we're going to have, and even what gear we're going to be able to play on, because we're not going to be able to we're not bringing all of our gear. We're using a lot of the backline. So those kind of things made us, eventually just decide, all right, we're going to keep it pretty simple. But we've been working really hard. Like, we have a rehearsal today. We rehearsed yesterday. So we've got something. But it's mainly, you're gonna hear our record, and you're gonna hear our record, I think, the best way it's ever been played, better than it is on the record. So that's what you have to look forward to, I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's take a few questions. Thomas Richardson asks, it's interesting what you said about doing Modern Love in a one-take type deal. he definitely gets that and enjoy that live feeling from it. Is that something you're going to try to keep for the next album, or will it be more poised? And I think that goes along with my next few questions. I think the rest of these actually go along with the next few questions. What do you guys have planned for this upcoming year, for the rest of this year? But let's ask Tom, or answer Thomas's question before we get started.
Yeah, I definitely want to keep. We'll probably go into the studio for the next record and play it as a live band, and probably just overdub small things. Just because it's not that I believe in the whole romantic idea about tracking live. It's just that I think it's good to make a decision, stick with it, and move on. And I feel like when you get into multi-tracking, you do things separately and stuff like that. It just you can kind of try and make I feel like some of the things on this record is too restrained and things like that, because you're trying to make it sound really pretty or trying to make it sound really balanced and all these kind of things. And sometimes it's okay to just let whatever the vibe is going on and just move on. Just that's what it is. Be okay with it. So I plan on the next record probably recording live. I don't know where I'm going to record it, who I'm going to do it with, or even where we're going to put it out. To be honest, I haven't been writing. I kind of wanted to put a huge gap between the first record and the second one in terms of, I mean, I will probably release it in the next year or two, but in terms of me writing, I wanted to wait a long time so that I feel like a different person and I have different things to talk about and different things to say. So yeah, I think that hopefully answers Tom's question.
Awesome. That also goes along with Jeremy's question. Do you have a vision or direction for the next album, and how do you want it to differ from Modern Love? And I think you answered that, but if you want to just elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time deciding where I want to go with the next record. I've wanted it to be a lot harder, I feel like, just because when I was writing the album, I wasn't necessarily thinking about live. I was thinking about like the experience of sitting at home, putting on an album and listening to it. So the album has a lot of ups and downs, and it's much like a good Elvis record. And like that's the thing. If you listen to an Elvis record, you'll hear how like halfway through he gets a solo guitar and solo voice song, and then so it has these nice like ups and downs to it. And but there's also like one of my favorite Beatles records is with the Beatles, and it's one of their early things. And it just, when we started playing live, it's like we started playing songs like Goodbye, and I'm just like, I want to play a song just like this right afterwards. I want to keep that energy that everyone just got hit with, and I want to just, almost like I want to play a punk show, and I just want to keep pounding them with the same energy. I want to see people move, so that's I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write an album that's really focused on playing a live show and keeping up all of that energy constantly, and maybe less dips and maybe less attention to variety. Because that was one thing. When I was writing the record, I was constantly thinking like, okay, well, I already wrote this kind of song, so I'm going to write this one. Or I already wrote that kind of song, so I'm going to write this one. This song has a drum intro, so this one won't. I was really thinking about crafting a full-length record. And I probably won't put that much. I mean, I will, but I think it'll be more focused on energy and stuff like that. So.
Gotcha. That's interesting. Okay. You mentioned the punk things. I was like, okay, but that'll be interesting to hear. I'm excited for it. So.
Yeah, I mean, as punk as we can get. I mean, not a punk record, but
Yeah, I get it. I get the energy from that. The energy that goes into it. Okay. Pastor asks, what do you think the band adds to the exciting Houston music scene? And I think I mentioned this earlier, that Houston has a great music scene, but it's sometimes not many people know about it, especially being in such a large city that has very, doesn't get up and about that much, at least in my opinion. But How do you think your the Caldwell adds to the Houston music scene?
Um, it's, I think, just a classic sound and look. Like I see us fitting on a lot of bills that maybe other bands wouldn't fit on. I mean, like we opened up for the So-So Glows. That was our first show. So-So Glows and Titus Andronicus, which are two, pretty much punk bands. And because we have this just like classic kind of indie rock sound that does get really energetic and does get really loud, we can fit on a punk bill. We can also fit, I feel like, on a country bill. We've played with Buxton, which is not necessarily country, and that fits really well. So, I feel like it's because it's such a classic sound, it can blend well with a lot of different things, and because of the look, I feel like we could play like a sit-down type of show with, have it be really formal, and it's going to look great, and yeah, so that's what I think we add, and oh yeah, and hope I think I don't know. I mean, this isn't necessarily criticism. I don't think, but I don't know many Houston bands that have lyrics that I feel like are really just right there. Like, I don't think mine are that great or anything, but I do think that they're honest and straightforward, and they're not hiding behind anything, and they're not, but yeah.
Awesome. So before we go on, I think we have one last question that we'll answer, and then we'll go to my last question, or yeah, but whatever, something. In live shows, you guys are playing, like, for Free Press, it's a bigger stage, but do you prefer the bigger stage to a smaller stage? Because I know personally, when I go to a show, I'd rather be in a smaller, more intimate setting, say like Fitzgeralds or Warehouse Live. They're the smaller rooms. For those of you that are watching that have no clue what I'm talking about, those are local venues here in Houston. But do you feel like smaller shows with smaller settings or larger stages, do you have a connection to having more of a preference for either one of those?
Well, we've played a living room kind of thing for this thing called So Far Sounds, and I really enjoyed that. I feel like our sound is meant for a kind of a big room. Like when we release our record at Fitzgeralds, we played upstairs, and I feel like that's the ultimate, like that's the perfect space for our sound. But I don't know. I've also played festivals. I played this huge circus tent out in Illinois, and that's really amazing too. Yeah, I like the really intimate. I do. I like the intimate a lot. But if your sound, see, that's the thing. Like, people don't really realize this sometimes, is that when Arcade Fire writes a record, or when Bruce Springsteen writes a record, they are writing a record for the arena. They are paying attention to that. So I think some bands just shouldn't do it. They shouldn't be playing an arena because their sound doesn't really doesn't ask for that. It shouldn't be, butchered in that way. But I don't know. We'll see how the sound for us feels up there on that stage and with that vast open space. To be honest, what I care most about is just how we sound. How the sound is, not even how it is for the people out there. I mean, I want it to be good for them, but ultimately I want it to be good for me, because if it's good for me, I'm going to perform the best. And if it sounds great for me up there, then I'm gonna play, and I'm gonna enjoy myself. And so yeah, I like Fitz upstairs the most. I think that's the best place that we've played. I mean, I miss, for people that don't know, there was an old venue, Walters on Washington, which now we have Walters downtown, but it's not the same as the old Walters. I love that space. I loved it. That was my favorite, but it's gone. So.
Yeah, I've heard that about the old Walters quite a bit. I never got a chance to go to the old Walters, but I've been to the new one, so it's I kind of feel sad that I missed out on that, but it's okay. Christine asks, where do you draw inspiration from when writing songs, and what's your favorite part about the process?
M- my favorite process is, or favorite part, is kind of when the song is done, and then you get to add all of the, like I've done several producing jobs where like someone has a song done, and I get to just have creative license with it, and I like being able to do that with my own stuff. The song's done. Now I'm gonna just mess around and like really tweak out how I want the tone to be, or how I want the drums to, and how I want to produce the drums, and how I want them to sound. I love that stuff the most, just because it's experimenting. I don't feel too experimental in the songwriting process. Maybe I should work on that. But yeah, that's my favorite part of it. And what was the other part of the question? It was.
Where do you draw your inspiration from when writing the songs?
Where do I draw my inspiration from? I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about a musical inspiration, then that's one thing. Talking about lyrical inspiration, that's another thing. But I think I'm going to change the question. I'm going to answer it in a different way, because this is kind of what I've been like thinking about a lot lately. It's just what gets me to write, like what makes me write, and I think it's just this inner feeling of needing to prove something or say something, and when that's not there, when I don't feel that, when I kind of sit down to just write a song, it doesn't do it. Or even when I'm upset about something and I'll sit down and write a song, if it's not that like I feel like I need to prove something, or that I really need to say something to someone or something, then it just doesn't work for me. So I think, yeah, my main inspiration is needing to prove, my ability, or prove my purpose or value, which, yeah, is rewarding, I guess. I don't know. It's nice, but hopefully that's a good answer. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely think that answers the question. It wraps it up quite well. At least I think so. Christine, if you don't think so, then I'm not sure what to say. I'm sorry. We tried.
Right.
So we'll have two last questions, and then we'll finish off.
Okay.
Jeremy asks, are there unique challenges associated with your live performance, and how will you address those challenges for Free Press? And I think you touched base on that a little bit with my last question, but if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the unique challenge is just preparing yourself for the room or the space that you're playing. I think that's the biggest challenge for us, or for me. And that's about it. I mean, sometimes, it's the challenge of dealing with the room and how the people are making you feel, or how you're bouncing off from them. But ultimately, if I'm not getting a good feed from the monitors, or if I'm not getting a good sound from the room, then it's just this like endless cycle. I feel like I don't sound good, and then I, keep thinking about that. But if everything is sounding great, and even if my mistakes are like sounding good in a way, then it just, keeps streamrolling in that way, and that's like live shows are all about, and are kind of losing that, which is that even if it's not a good show, but everyone feels good, and everyone feels the energy, and though you can't like listen to the recording of that show and be pleased with it, like that's what it's about. Like I don't think a lot of shows by a lot of great bands would make great YouTube videos or whatnot, but that doesn't mean that the show wasn't amazing. I'm sure the Smiths sound much better. I'm sure Bowie and all these people sound much better back when they were playing on their record than they did live. But that doesn't mean that the show wasn't. I'm sure the show is way better than the record. I'm sure of it. So, but
Gotcha.
I think that's the challenge that's going to be at Free Press, is getting used to that stage with hardly any time to get used to it. And then just going through it. So.
Cool. So that finishes off, and I have one last question. Before we get this last question, I want to remind you, John, they'll be playing Mars Stage at 11:40, so they'll be starting out the day. So if you're there on Saturday, go check them out because it's definitely it's a sound that you should hear, and it's a sound that is amazing to hear. And even though James is working on his vocal abilities, I don't think that he needs to work on them any more than he already has them because he sounds great and the band sounds great. So.
Thank you very much.
So again, okay, so my last question that I ask everyone is one interesting thing about yourself that most people wouldn't know or they don't know about you. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be anything super secretive or like all out there or whatever, but just something interesting about yourself.
Something interesting about myself. I love animals. I love cats. I love dogs. I love them more than I love people sometimes. And I think they should be treated well. that's it. A lot of people already know that about me, but hey.
Awesome. Cats or dogs?
I have 2 cats, but I love dogs just as much. But I don't have 2 cats. Sorry. Well, that's weird. My cat actually passed last year. I have 1 cat, and but I love dogs just as much. So.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, again, thank you for joining me. Stick around. I'll chat with you a little bit more after we finish or after I end off here. But thank you all for joining us and chatting with us and asking questions as well. If you're at Free Press Summerfest, which I hope you will be, even though it's going to be really hot and probably going to sweat a lot. So wear sunscreen, wear shorts, and all that fun stuff. Mars Stage, 11:40. Go check them out and stick around for Mars Stage because I think that's probably going to be one of the best stages there.
Yeah.
So because it's a great collection of genres and just bands and everything. So stick around at Mars Stage if you want to, if you don't want to move around and stuff like that. But thank you again for joining us. We will be back tomorrow with I don't know who, and I should know who, but I don't remember. But we'll be back with another artist for Free Press Summerfest, and we're doing it again on Thursday and Wednesday. I think I just went out of order there because I forgot the days of the week. But it's okay. Join us next week, and we will talk to you guys later. And I will see you guys later, and have a great day. Have a great Monday. I hope you're enjoying your day off if you have a day off. And remember what I said, take a moment to thank the servicemen and women that died in defense for our country, and also just thank the people around you, and that's always something to do. Adios. Howdy, welcome to Music Hangout. This is Manjaja with Way Too Indie. It is Monday, May 26th. We're talking with James of the Caldwell Band. They're playing Free Press Summerfest this Saturday, this Saturday actually. And we're going to talk to him a little bit about the band, and we're going to talk to him about what it's like to play Free Press, or what it's going to be like to play Free Press. Before I get started, I would like to say it is Memorial Day, so we wanted to give a shout out or a thing to. I hope that you guys have taken a second or a few minutes out of your day to thank all the brave women and women that have sacrificed their lives in our defense of our nation. If it's not today, it should be every day. Technically, I hope that you do it every day and you say thanks to everyone in your life. But for today, I'm also going to be saying thanks to James for joining me today. It's Monday for first thing. It's Memorial Day, so probably taking a break, but it's also a little raining outside. At least it is here. You found interest you, or how did you get involved with your music or your musical careers?
I basically started playing the guitar at around 16, and I graduated high school a year early, and with kind of just the mindset, I want to get out of this place. And then when I finally got out, I was just like, oh, what am I going to do? And so it was either I was going to get a degree in history, or I was going to get a degree in music. But the thing is that I didn't read sheet music. I taught myself how to play the instrument. I never had lessons. So I tried out at a local music school, a community college, and they accepted me. They thought like some of the compositions that I had written, or that I had made, I guess, I hadn't written them out or anything, were good. And so they accepted me, and I was just basically all 4 years of college was just playing catch up because I was around people who had been playing and reading since they were 5 years old. So it was a struggle, but that's basically my play it and then enjoy it. So that's what I basically did. I recorded it all here at my home studio, which is where I am right now, and then took it to Sugar Hill Recording Studios, which is a legendary studio here in Houston. My good friend John Griffin recorded the album. And then after that, it was easy. I had this product, and I could show it to musicians and see if they grabbed onto it, if they enjoyed it. And, it was a long process of finding the right people, but I feel like what I have right now is pretty solid and pretty great. And everyone feels a real kinship and ownership to the music, even though, some of it was, or almost all of it was written before they were, part of it. So I feel happy about it, and especially because it kind of like, for the next record, I'm really excited about, hearing what everyone is going to bring to the table. Yeah, so.
Awesome. So, a little bit about your musical background. You went to college for music, but how did you get started in music? Was that something you did as a child growing up, or was it something atypical from most bands, is that you actually wrote this album before the band formed together? Can you tell us a little bit about that process and why you chose to go that route, or was it just something that was, you were writing the album and you just didn't? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so basically this was 2 summers ago. I started writing. I finished my degree. I got a degree in music composition. Finished my degree and then decided that I needed to start doing something again. I had a band before I went to college, and that fell apart, and then I did college. And then, so I was like, all right, I need to write a record. I need to make something. I had actually never written songs before. It was all instrumental music that I had before. So I decided, like, all right, 3 months. I'm going to give myself 3 months, and I'm going to write this. And instead of, waiting around to find people that I wanted to make music with, I thought, I'll just make it. And after making it, I'll find the people that connect to it and that want to play.
For me in my part of town. But, James, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining me and taking the time out. Let's go ahead and get started. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us a little bit your name, the name of the band, and then a little bit about yourself, because you're native Houstonian, correct?
Yes, I'm a native Houstonian. Born and raised. Yeah, so my name's James, singer and guitar player in the band. The band is obviously the Caldwell. We have Caleb Quillen on bass. We have Pastor Oropeza on drums. We have John Cook on guitar and Alex Fisher on keys. They're not here with me today, but I'll be stepping in for all of them.
Awesome. So I wanted to talk to you about a little bit about how the band actually formed, because I thought this was interesting. Your album Modern Love came out last September, I believe, of last year, and what was interesting about it, that little bit